Hey YouTube, so we made it to the weekend again and we're back out here. We got the Ridge and the Ridge is ready for his fork upgrade. We have the RockShox Recon that we're gonna put on here, the same that we did with the Kent Travail, and they're similar. So the only thing that we'll have to do is pretty much remove the crown race from it and transfer it to the new fork and bolt it on and get to riding. So it's really not a project that we have. We'll just say just a little fixer-upper, and it shouldn't take that long. So we're gonna get started with that. I'm just coming here to talk to you a little bit about what we got. We have a new stem caps that we're gonna put on first before we pull the fork off, so everything will just bolt straight up. And that's about it. We got some lube that we're gonna try out to put around the crown race and the bearings, because I wasn't sure what kind of bearing grease to use last time. I was so excited to get it put on first that I just used what I had laying around. So that's one of the things that we're gonna do today while we still have a little daylight. I wanna thank you all for 1,000+ subscribers. Try my best to bring you all good content and quality videos. And we're gonna keep it coming like that. We're gonna grow together. So got your update coming soon as we put this on and we get out and get riding again. I know a lot of times we don't do step by step when we're making these installation videos, but for the most part, it's really simple when you're doing a fork upgrade, like what has to come off and what has to go back on. You take these brake calipers off and tie them out where they're out of the way. And you come up into your stem cap and remove this first, because the fork isn't gonna go anywhere. Once you remove this, just kind of to tighten everything down before you do the actual stem bolts. And you remove the stem bolts themselves, and then at that point, the fork itself should slide out. So then you'll have that off. That's pretty much what we're gonna do as we go along. Just do little clips, and we're gonna do it before and after, because what I really like about this is the Crossfire FU stem that's gonna go on here. We went back with black. It's gonna give it a little strength around there, kind of keep the look that we had in the beginning. So that's something I'm really excited about. This is really one of my dress up bikes right here. I'm probably gonna keep, and I ride it the most because these tires aren't that hard to clean at all. I ride them on mud and everything. On a wet day, I can just ride in the road, and the water that's on the road gets the mud off. And, I think it's really cool that we went with these purple stem bolts too. That's gonna look good. But that's one reason why I want to do the before and after photos. And I really just like sitting back and look at the little customization we do with the color scheme. We just put on these end caps, and it looks good so far. So we're about to get started here. So we already have the brake calipers removed. So we're gonna unloosen these little stem bolts, and the fork should slide right out after that. And we're gonna go get these links measured, get the new fork cut, and then we are gonna put it on the Ridge. I've just been taking my time with this today, because if I do everything real fast, then I probably won't have much to work on around here. It'll make us buy new parts and just do unnecessary upgrades. And I'm to the point now where I'm really trying to get done with these bikes. The more I look at them, the more I see I can do to them, and I just don't want to work on them too much more, because they're exactly how I want them. And I want to get a new budget bike that we can get here, stock, and we can take a look at it, and I can kind of get my subscribers to chime in and say what they want to see done to it, and we can work on it together and probably donate it, something like that. That's something that I want to do on the channel once we get enough subscribers and people engaged on this channel. But right now we're just doing the upgrades that we can do to the budget bikes that we have. So it's the end of December right now. Around January, we'll probably start on us a new project. I've been wanting to do the Bafang mid-drive on one of these, but I heard it's kind of difficult to do on the Ridge. So that kind of makes it more of a challenge for us to do. So we're gonna tie this handlebar out of the way with a zip tie, just so we can get in here. That's a good spot where our lines ain't too crossed up. That can hang like that, it won't be in the way. And we'll just get a zip tie and come in here and tie this off somewhere. Because the very next thing that we're gonna do is come and do the stem. So it can just be right here, tied away, and we get right here and work on it. Let's undo these bolts and put the new stem on. Take the tire off this fork, get it measured, cut, get that stem nut drove down in there, transfer our mud flaps, and we'll be good to go. Have some good bounce in here, some good rebound. That's what I'm looking forward to. So really quickly, we're gonna come in here. I don't know if you can see it. We're gonna get this stem cap removed from the handlebar, and we're gonna put our new stem on the handlebar. So we can already have that mounted when we go to put the new fork on here. Everything was new on this stem. I already come and put new stem bolts on it. Because I believe I had scripted out one when I was putting this handlebar on. So I have this light bar mounted on my handlebar too. And I hope that we have enough clearance between it, because I really like the location of this. And I don't want to have to remove it just because the stem has a certain thickness on the bottom portion of it. But we have this one off. Now I'm about to line the new one up to this and see how everything looks. And if we don't have any clearance issues, we're just gonna leave this on. This will probably be the rest of what we'll do, as far as what day life is gonna allow us to do anyways. And tonight, we'll cut the new fork, and that way, in the morning, we can come out here and just put it on, and we'll even have time to ride tomorrow. So that'll be a really awesome thing. I do have one more RockShox Recon air fork, but it's a taper style, and it would work on this taper style head too, but it already has the adapter for a straight steer. So by that being a direct mount, we're not having to do any changing of our headset. We're gonna go with that one. Like I said, we'll find us another budget bike to work on that we can use that fork for, and that's less parts that we have to get along the way. I'm really liking these forks so far, so it wouldn't be half bad to have it on that many bikes. Right off the rip, I can see that we are having some clearance issues, but I hope that we can make this work, because I really want to keep my light bar in the position that it's in, but I also want this stem on here too. So I hope that we can all get along. I hope that we can all get along. I'm just gonna put this in a relative location where I want it. I'm not gonna do anything else to it. Just leave it. Come back in the morning and tighten everything down so I can get some riding done. It's been so cold outside, I haven't been riding too much. Go too far. Definitely want to get out here in the morning. I don't care if it was snowing outside, we're gonna ride and get this fork put on. One thing I like about this Ozark Trail, it has a seal bearing on the crankset, and everything is so quiet. That's one of the things that I like about, well, one of the ways I like my bike setup is to be silent as possible. I think the noisy hubs are really cool. I know all the hubs make noise when you're not pedaling, but I like my bikes to be as quiet as possible. When I'm pedaling and I'm not having music playing, I just like to hear nothing. It makes me feel like my bike is well put together. That's just how I like to do it. So with this one, I didn't really want to change too much, but on the Kent Travail, we probably need to do something to that crankset, because I'm not sure if it's the chain that you can hear when pedaling, but you do hear something. And I believe that Kent Travail that we got from Walmart may have been a return too, because it was a little dirty. The tires had a little wear on it, and we did get a discounted price, but as far as how it came off of the shelf, I haven't had any issues, and it ended up being one of the best shifting mountain bikes that I've ever had. So from that, I fell in love with the micro shift Advent 9-speed, and that's something that I prefer on my bikes too. So that's just where we at so far. We want to get done with these budget bikes and not have to do anything else to them. But when you have little issues and you have preferences of how you want your mountain bike, you have to do what you have to do sometimes. So all in all, that crankset on the Kent Travail may be the last thing that we do, because we have these forks, we have a perfect crankset on here, disc brakes, everything solid, headset. So that's what we're gonna do last, and then I would say by January, first of the year, we'll have this new budget bike project in here to work on. But there you have it, folks. Stem is in. It's ready to slide over the new fork once you put it in the morning. We'll be right back with you. So it's nighttime, and I ended up just coming inside to do a quick video of what I usually do is use the inch side, because this installation I'm doing on one of my personal bikes. I'm not working out of a bike shop. I have to be that technical about anything. But this old Sun Tour fork measures at 7 inches and 1/8. So that's the exact same measurement, or I probably do an 1/8 inch more on this fork just so I have a little room for error over here. So I come over here to this side and I mark it 7/1/8 inch. And once I do that, make my little index mark, I do that all the way around so it's even. And then I check my measurement, 7/1/8, all the way around, and then I make my cut. So I do an extra 1/8 inch just so I have a little room for error, because sometimes when you're moving this blade around, it'll shift just a little bit as you're tightening down. So I do the extra 1/8 inch. And if that's too much of a problem for me, I just use a spacer when I'm putting the stem back on. So I have those marks. I'm going to take this tool right here, put it on, and cut the pipe. And then that way in the morning, we come out here, we don't have to do anything but just put it back on. And it's a direct fit, it bolts straight up. So that's all that I wanted to show you guys. Pretty much got this cut off. Alright. So once we get those cut off, I like to weigh them to see how much we cut off the end. We got 37.4 grams, so that's a little over an ounce right there. And these RockShox Recon, I believe they were advertised at like 2,035 grams. And we just took like 37 grams off of the overall weight of this air fork. So I think that's pretty good, especially if you're trying to get a lighter frame overall. So we're right around, we're under 2,000 grams. So that's pretty good. So we have that off. We're gonna get in here, clean this up a little bit, maybe drive our star nut tonight, and fit our crown race. Fit the crown race over it. And after that, man, we're out of here. Okay, folks, so here we are the next day. We did what we had to do overnight for us prepping the fork, where we can come in and just install it, put our calipers back on, handlebars, and then go out and get a good ride in off of this fork. I'm gonna apply a little lube to the bottom and top bearings, and then we're gonna put the fork back on and try to give you like a little real time of how long this process takes. What I just did off camera was drive the star nut in, and that took about 2 minutes to get it right where it's supposed to go. So now that's ready to go in also. So let's get to that right now. I'll go ahead and break this handlebar loose, because that's going to be ready to go right on as soon as we put the fork. All right. This is actually turned around like this. Slides down on top of that. And just like that, Put your washers on top of that. Hope that we have the right amount, because I have some little spacers, small spacers for that 1/8 inch extra that we cut if we do need that to put on. And it's just that simple. Once you get that, you put a little tighten on the stem bolt until you get your stem cap on there, and then that's just that. Everything will get tightened up after that. Got that. Come in and put our stem cap on. Get us a little bit more height. This is kind of a tricky part right here, because if you tighten it up too much right here at the stem, before you tighten the actual stem, it won't be able to turn. And when you go to do things like no hands and stuff like that, it just doesn't work. You take your hands off of the handlebar for even a second, you can tell that it's too tight. So this is kind of a tricky part right here that you have to get just right. Everything else is kind of fast paced until you get here, and this is where you take your time at. And to get everything lined up properly, I usually wait until I get my tire back on to do all those final adjustments. Put my caliper on, and then we're gonna take off and ride. But I'm so excited about this. I like how everything looks. We come from a 60mm stem with a 6-degree rise on it to a 50mm 0-degree rise. So that should shorten our reach a little bit and give us a different ride feel. I just hope that this shock does a little bit more dampening than the stock friction fork was doing. So I pretty much have that tight enough. I don't like to overdo it right here. But if it's not adjusted, we come back. Use the way that I can tell if I can come in here to my spacers and they turn just a little. If I can get a little bit of movement out of my spacers, then I know that my stem cap isn't on too tight. But I try to make sure everything is flush. And I move on from there. So I'm gonna come in here now and just eyeball it enough to where I can put a little tighten on these stem cap, my stem screws. I might go ahead and put the purple ones on here too. I didn't want to use them because I noticed that the ones that the stem come with, they already had some kind of Loctite on them. And that would do as good, because if I come in and put some of my Loctite on it and I have to remove my stem for any reason, it may be a little difficult, and I have damaged a bolt like that. So maybe we can go with this for now. Or maybe not, I don't know. Think about that. Okay, so I have decided to go ahead and go with the purple stem bolts. Just put a little dab of Loctite around them, so that if we do any trail riding in the future, this thing will be good to go. That's something that I'd be concerned about, this thing rattling itself loose, screws backing themselves out, that kind of deal. But for the most part, I believe that we'll put together solid. I think it's a good stem, and we're gonna put the right specs on it so that we don't have any issues out of this. All right, so that is about it. I don't know if you can see this, how good this looks so far. Little purple stem bolts. I like that. And we're gonna get this tire put on now. Get this brake caliper put on. And then we're gonna get out here and ride, guys. Here, fix on our hydraulic line. These little pieces right here have to come all the way off. Fit your hydraulic line in there. Just screw it back in. Then you come down here to the bottom. Remount your brake caliper. I like this this setup right here because it is a post mount 160, and I thought that was really impressive versus the 180 millimeter setup that I have, because out on the road this brake setup has proven to have, you know, a better stopping power than my 180 millimeter setup. So these two bikes, the Kent Travail and the Ozark Trail, are the only bikes that I've had, you know, with a hydraulic brake setup. So these are the only comparisons that I had to make so far. Mechanical brakes, I don't think that I'm gonna deal with them at all from this point on, because hydraulic brakes really do like what I need them to do as far as my riding style goes. So I think that's what I'm gonna stick with on all future projects. But these, you know, it helped me to learn how the 160 and the 180 millimeter disc brake setups differ. So it's all about your application, your riding style, you know, and what you prefer, what matches up to your application. And everything is just trial and error after that. Little 9mm quick release wheels. I love quick releases. It's one of my favorite things to do, get everything lined up. My tires, my disc brakes. I don't know why I love doing that so much. And there it is. So everything is back put together. We're gonna fine tune our brakes, put a rotor tooling tool on that right now, tighten them down, and then we're out here on the road. So I think we've been out here a total of what, 25 minutes doing that, just taking our time. So that's not bad. It's not bad at all. Got that in there like that. I'm gonna use my extension for this. I just need a few more. A little millimeters of clearance in here. Some people come in here and they'll press their brake lever, tighten it down, and then release it to get the perfect clearance that they need. But I just come here and I put a rotor tooling tool because I know that once I go to tighten down my bolts, it shifts a little bit. So I pretty much know which way to pull my caliper when I'm tightening to accompany that little shift. And then when I'm done, I have the perfect clearance. So that's why this is one of my favorite things to mess around with, because it took a little time for me to, you know, master it for my preferences, and now I got it. So I like doing that. And if I have anyone else's bike to work on, that's something that I like to do in the derailleurs. So that's it, folks. I'm gonna get up here and torque everything down to spec, and we're gonna get out here and test out this fork, because that's what we came here for. So I appreciate y'all watching the video, and I'll let you know how this thing performs in a little while.